Welcome back. Joining us now is the editor-at-large of the Post-Millennial, journalist, and a guy who has informed us, I think, more than anybody else, any single person, on the topic of the rising violence of the left. Andy Ngo. Andy, welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, I got to say that's, thinking about that as I say, it's like, I really can't come up with another name. I mean, if it wasn't for you and the work you've done, which is super brave, and I would never do it, and I'm a total wuss compared to you, because you just stand in the middle of this, and you've risked your life to be able to bring this to America, and thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you. I think one of the reasons why there's not a lot of journalists covering the topic of Antifa is because if you come at it from a critical perspective, as I do, because I think it's a violent extremist movement, you get smeared as far-right or sympathetic to neo-Nazis or anything, and I think it points to the larger issue of how the media institutions have been captured by a lot of far-left orthodoxy.
You mentioned that they're a violent extremist organization, and I don't even know what the argument against that is. Frankly, it seems like every single time they get together, it's not every single person, right? I mean, you can say that about any movement, though. It's a large portion, larger than any other organization that I can think of, and continually in the same areas. They are, in Portland in particular, they are continually bringing a sort of a street movement with levels of violence we haven't seen in a long time in this country. How do they push back against the reporting that you're doing?
I think they push back because what's happened after Trump's surprise election win in 2016 is that it's a lot of people have, I think, lost their moral compass. People that you expect to have to follow like the norms of what it means to be American or a civilized person, like not advocating political violence, not advocating violence as a solution to interpersonal conflict, but just in their reaction to just that they cannot accept that this administration won democratically. They've chosen to manifest their rage and anger through supporting political violence. I mean, you pointed out that it's only a small number of people who are actually involved in property destruction, rioting, and violence against citizens, but they're empowered to do it because they can depend on the local media, sometimes depending on where it happens, even the local population, to excuse that type of extremist behavior.
It's interesting because I want to get into what's coming with this as we get closer to the election, because I think it could be really ugly. But one of the things I think too that particularly hits areas like Portland and why it's so common in Portland is it doesn't seem like anybody in the city government cares. They almost seem to want to be encouraging that this goes on, and they don't seem to be cracking down on it at all like they would any other group who did these types of things. Is that perception correct?
I think it is correct based on the things that people on city council have said and the policy decisions that they've chosen. I think the most chilling thing to have happened in Portland is how Portland police have had pretty much all the tools taken away for effective crowd control. The framework that they operate from now is essentially passive policing. So if they find themselves to be, quote, an agitation to protesters, and of course the left-wing protesters will always say F the police, then the police will actually physically remove themselves from the situation. And it's provided a blueprint over and over for violent radicals to know what to do to be able to commit criminal acts and get away with it.
That's interesting. It's almost like a chicken and the egg situation. Like, they didn't like the police anyway.
Correct.
But now the active dislike of the police, making it as public as possible, is actually helping them in the criminal investigation side of this. And whether it's, they're going to be, cracked down on by the police. I bring this up because I look at the future here a little bit. And it seems like the manifestation of Antifa in a candidate. And I'm not saying he's endorsing what they're doing, but Bernie Sanders there's a lot of similarity there when it comes to the groups. We've seen this with James O'Keefe and the work he's done, being able to expose some of these people in the campaign. And as far as I know, they're still working in the campaign.
Yes, they are.
That part of it, I almost let me stop there. How on earth is a guy who says, we're going to burn the city down, we're going to kill people, we need gulags. Every other candidate would have at least fired them and said, it's just a bad apple and, we're moving on. And of course, don't try to paint the whole campaign this way. How does Bernie get away with no pushback from the media from keeping these guys on board?
Well, I think what this suggests is that the far left has made significant gains into the mainstream left to the point of where the open espousal of these violent beliefs is not punished with ostracization. I think I personally found it quite disturbing that the campaign for Bernie Sanders, who is now the front runner, really protected these staffers. And it's important that you repeated some of the things that they said in these Project Veritas videos that were released last month, expressing a desire to see political dissidents killed in a revolution, to be jailed. I mean, and this is not entirely just theoretical, because we have the whole last century of all the totalitarian communist regimes who have actually enacted these practices. So I think we should be scared that the people who have the ear of Bernie Sanders, who work in his campaign, espouse and harbor such extremist views, and the fact that he hasn't come out to disavow and made his own position clear speaks a lot, actually.
It really does, you see this, from the level of just online, the way that the Bernie Bros, as they're always called, which I hate that term because it's so friendly. They just seem like they're buddies. You're having a beer with them at the bar. It's no big deal. I mean, they're really abusive to people, including other Democrats, online constantly. And you look kind of into the future here, and as you say, Bernie's the front runner, but the chance of a brokered convention is a serious, a contested convention is a serious possibility. He is the only one saying, well, if I have the plurality, I should definitely get the nomination. Everyone else, including him in 2016, disagreed with that position. But if they go to this contested convention, let's just say, and you have Bernie Sanders, who's leading in the delegate count, but winds up losing the nomination because of a contested convention situation. I mean, I can't even imagine what we see on the streets from the people who have been supporting Bernie in the ways that they're supporting him. You've been in the middle of these things. Do you see that as a real possibility?
So here's the thing. With Bernie Sanders, I think the fact that he is as popular as he is, particularly with young Americans, that is something that we need to reckon with as a society. And with what the Democrat Inc. and DNC putting their finger on trying to stifle or hurt the campaign, Bernie's campaign, I think that's not good for this country, because you can look back on 2015, 2016 and see establishment Republicans not liking the populist tendencies of Trump and, trying to influence that. That makes the population feel like our voices are not being respected. Yeah. And so what I would hope to see is that, the rules for the DNC have already been laid out. So these are the rules that you agree to follow by. So let's see the process play out. But at the same time, this is a moment of introspection for the Democrat Party. Like, who are you guys really, and which voice are you going to? And the DNC is not entirely innocent of the radicalism that we're seeing now. It's not like just this insurgency that's come in. Like, they've really empowered really polarizing figures like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. So they played with that fire and they're getting burnt now. So it's of their own doing.
So walk me through, you're in the middle of one of these rallies, protests, whatever you want to call them, and you start seeing violent type stuff bubbling up. You've been in the middle of this so many times. You know, the human, I think, reaction to that is to escape the situation. You want to get out. You want to get yourself the hell out of the way. You don't do that really. I mean, you make sure that people can see what's going on. What led you to the point where you decided this is too important? I'm going to risk my own health to go in there and look at these situations and make sure that people can see what's going on.
So what was really frustrating to me throughout 2016, 17, 18 is that the way that Antifa's violent actions were being covered in the local media, which the national media then used to frame the narrative, was that these were people just defending their communities and they were largely peaceful. When what I was witnessing, what was really happening is people, masked individuals, attacking people, sometimes unprovoked, destroying properties, and getting away with it. And so the local media, because it can be really dangerous, they don't really embed their journalists in the middle of these violent demonstrations anymore, understandably. Me being a risk taker and perhaps naive, I went in and have continued to cover it. It's come at a heavy cost. You alluded to me getting beaten by a mob last year, and I was left with traumatic brain injury. So it's just, I've become a very strong advocate for independent journalists, citizen journalists, because these are the people who are going out, they don't have a security team, they have no budget, they're going out and they're recording these clips that provide the true story of what's happening at some of these left-wing demonstrations.
Seriously, thank you for all the work you're doing. This is something, a story that needs to be told. And as you point out, not a lot of people are telling it. So thank you for sticking your neck out, and unfortunately, literally, and doing this for the country.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, back in a second.